Hello, dear AstroLada friends. My name is Marina, and I'm here with you to talk to you about the interesting astrology events that we will experience with you together during November 2023. So if you have any questions about the astrology events, you are also welcome to share them. I will try to answer as much as possible. And also, we are going to do something interesting. We are going to do this together with Facebook. 1 second. Okay, so hello everyone on Facebook with AstroLada. My name is Marina, and today I'm here with you to present you the November 2023 Astrology Prediction. We are doing this at the same time on YouTube and Facebook, so it will be interesting. I will be switching, but I will be with you at the same time. And I may also look at my notes. So we have 3 points for me to balance, which while I was preparing for this, I was thinking, well, actually, it's a good thing when there are 3 points, because when you have just one force, for example, like one planet in astrology, this means that the energy is going somewhere, but it doesn't necessarily lead anywhere. When you have 2 points, then you have possible tension. You have the duality. And when we have a 3rd point, this is when something can actually happen and may turn into a result. So the triad is actually a very important spiritual symbol. Anyway, let's talk about November 2023. And let me tell you guys that this month will be so different at the beginning and at the end. And especially around the middle of the month, we have a very, very drastic turning point. And again, let me remind you, if you have questions, please share them in the chat. The first thing which I want to talk about is actually the fact that we are still in the lunar cycle of the previous solar eclipse. Yes, the eclipse corridor is already over. Yes, we are no longer in the midst of it, but until the next new moon, which will be around the middle of November, we are still influenced. We are still literally living in the lunar cycle that was started by the last solar eclipse. So this is also something important we should consider, meaning that the transformations are still very deep, very significant, very intense, because the last solar eclipse, the last beginning of the lunar cycle, was also accompanied by a square from Pluto. It was really, really intense. So we may still feel those energies affecting us, and we are still in the middle of this process of letting something go, transforming. And yes, my friends, sometimes this process is not so easy. Another reason why also the beginning of this month is so intense. Well, one of the main reasons is that Saturn is currently stationary. At the very beginning of November, Saturn is stationary, and Saturn will be turning direct on the 4th of November. But at the same time, until November 11, Saturn is still stationary. What does that mean? Saturn being retrograde or direct is not like Mercury or Venus or Mars. However, the turning points, the time when the planet is turning from retrograde to direct or the other way around, are actually really significant. And right now, at the very beginning of November, we are gonna experience this energy. First of all, who are the people that would be influenced the most? If you have a strong Saturn in your chart. For example, I personally have a stellium in Capricorn. So for me, everything major that happens with Saturn is always important. If you are also a Capricorn sun, Capricorn rising, or maybe you have a stellium or something important in Capricorn, or just Saturn is like a very accentuated planet, let's say it's on your ascendant or on your MC, then in this case, every major shift with Saturn is something that you will feel stronger than others. So that's the first group of people like me. The second group of people who will feel stronger the Saturn stationary phase are the people who have important planets or cusps of houses at the beginning of the mutable signs, especially Pisces, where currently Saturn is. Saturn is on the first degree in Pisces. But if you also have your sun rising sign or another important planet in around the first few degrees of also Gemini or Virgo or Pisces or Sagittarius, then you, my friends, will also feel this influence stronger than others. And this is something to be aware of. One thing I want to add also is sometimes we tend to be, I would say, kind of negative about Saturn or difficult aspects or challenging transits. Please don't forget one really big general principle in astrology. Transits, progressions, all kind of other astrology events in the prediction can only trigger something that is already within you and your chart. In other words, if you feel kind of stuck, if you feel challenged, if you feel trapped, or everything is too slow, or you need to put too much pressure on yourself, or work is extremely hard, yes, currently Saturn is activating those themes, but not everyone is feeling them equally strong. And the people who would feel them stronger are the ones that have this energy as a potential within them. So what does this mean? First of all, we are not victims. The planets are not evil and everything happens at the right time. But also this is extremely valuable for us because when certain energy is activated within you, first of all, you can work with it, you can transform it, you may let it go, or find a constructive way to actually use it. So Saturn is definitely not an evil planet, but yes, Saturn being stationary, again, this is continuing until November 11th. This phase requires from us to slow down, not to rush things too much, not to try to go after the fast, quick wins, but instead to give ourselves time to really consider things. And there is also one general principle that Saturn really rewards. This is when we are wise. If we find wise decisions, if we are very mindful and cautious about the things that we are doing, then Saturn is rewarding those efforts. So yes, it will probably not happen right away. We still need to wait a little bit to prepare, but those who are preparing and hardworking and consistent are always rewarded by Saturn, even if it takes some time. So prepare for those first 10, 11 days of November that you may need also to slow down, to put more effort if you want to accomplish something, or maybe to pause for a while and see what would be the best. Another reason why also the first half of this month is especially, I would say, slow and passive is because all of the planets will be in the feminine signs, literally all of them. Every now and then the moon will move into a masculine sign, but that's not enough to compensate. So more or less during the first half of the month, we will have dominant feminine energy, which also means that the best way to succeed, to achieve something is first of all through attracting it. And I'm not saying just, lay on the couch, watch Netflix and, pray to attract or hope for something to, happen out of nowhere. That's not exactly the point of attracting. But at the same time, it's also not the time to rush things, to try to lead battles, to fight for things. This is definitely not going to work. With Saturn stationary and dominant feminine energy, this is absolutely not the best way for us. And I would say that this will be actually a recipe for complete disappointment. So with the dominant feminine energies, what we should do is focus on ourselves, on our feelings, on our inner world. And yes, relationships, of our personal well-being can become more important than actually pursuing something external or chasing some kind of concrete result. And again, don't get me wrong. Again, I'm a Capricorn. I love concrete results. I'm all about action taking. But what we miss sometimes is our true motivation. And if we focus only on external things, again, just the idea to chase and pursue something or to try to get something as a result or something material, if we focus only on that without knowing our deep inner reasons, motivation, and desires, again, this will not work well for us. So even if you want to achieve a concrete result, if you want to take concrete actions, yes, that's also possible. Again, be prepared that the process will be slower than usual, but not impossible. And the right strategy is first to find what truly motivates you, what makes you want something, what is your true, honest, genuine motivation. And this is a very good test, by the way, because nowadays, especially with the current Jupiter energies, Jupiter right now is in opposition with the Sun. So this is also one of the themes. What are our values, our goals? What are we going after? And you may realize that maybe some of the things that you are going after or pursuing may not be what you want for yourself right now. So it's a good time to check this with yourself and to make a shift and to focus on the things that you really want. If you take action from this place, from the place of genuine, honest desire and motivation, and if you are in touch with what you really want for yourself, then chances are you will really have a more stable result and you will be able also to attract them. Because again, I'm reminding that Saturn is not an evil planet. Even if it delays things, it slows them down, or it restricts them, it's also providing a more stable environment where we are not wasting our effort. We are more aware that, we need to be mindful of how we use our resources. And then we just focus on the things that truly matter, the things that are truly important. And again, those things Saturn will reward. So this is the strategy for the first half of the month. Go after the things that you truly want, but not by chasing them, not by wrestling or, having battles with the outside world or with yourself. That's not going to work. Another thing also, during the first few days, Venus will have an opposition with Neptune. And when we combine this with everything else, like dominant feminine signs, Saturn stationary, this is also energy which can add some kind of disappointment, especially on an emotional level. So be aware of that, be mindful. Especially the first week of November is definitely more challenging. We can be over emotional, we can be in a specific state. But again, that's about to change. As you will see, we have a very, very noticeable dynamic throughout the month. And at the end, things are totally shifting. Okay, so the exact opposition between Venus and Saturn on the 4th of November, together with Saturn turning direct. So 4th of November is probably one of the most special days during this month. And generally, the fact that Saturn will be direct for a couple of months after that is also a good indication for us to materialize more the things that we have prepared for, or we've been wanting, or we've been working for a while. So external results, materialization, also working more on external stability. Those are some of the things that Saturn direct can help us with. The first, or one of the first significant shifts during the month, during November, will come around the 8th of November, and after that, when Venus moves to Libra. That's actually very positive because Venus is moving into the sign of its rulership. And Venus will be there until the end of the month. And yes, towards the end, she will make a conjunction with the South Node. More on that a bit later. But what does this mean? It means that we have a better chance to harmonize our relationships, our connections with other people, also to focus more on our own genuine desires. Venus is very important for our true personal values. Again, not the socially determined, not what other people expect you or want you to pursue. No, it's more about the things that you value, the things that you love, and also the people that you truly love. Of course, if you have a strong Venus or Libra sign in your chart, well, congratulations, my friends. This will be a pretty nice transit for you. And especially when it comes to love, relationships, but also for people who are working in the area of art, creativity, the beauty industry. For you guys, this is also a fantastic transit and can help you to express something better, to be more creative, to find more solutions. And generally speaking, for women, this is also a very nice time to pay attention to your appearance, to your beauty, to do something as self-care and something for yourself. This is also, I would say, something pretty nice. And especially after Venus has been in Virgo, where she's not feeling really comfortable. Now with Venus moving to Libra, we may really feel this, romantic atmosphere, like people are kind of like more open, and overall, this is a good indication, good period for relationships. The other thing is that while Venus is in Libra, so basically until the end of the month, there won't be challenging aspects. Towards the very end, and mostly in the beginning of December, we will feel the influence by Pluto. But for the most part, Venus will be moving through Libra without any challenges. So this is also pretty helpful. The other thing that changes is Mercury moving to Sagittarius on the 11th. The Sun is also moving to Sagittarius on the 22nd, and even Mars is moving to Sagittarius on the 24th. So the energy shifts drastically. Imagine all of those Scorpio energies that we are experiencing for, I would say, quite a long time are gonna shift. So first of all, we may feel like things are going in a new direction, like we have some kind of new goals. And it's a great time also to focus on long-term visions or things that we've been dreaming about. And as much as I honestly love Scorpio as a sign, I truly do. But when we have intense focus of energies, planets in Scorpio, usually that's not an easy period. And that's what we are currently in the midst of. So right now, things are deep, intense, serious. It's time to focus on the serious matters of life and to explore, to transform. And when the energy starts to shift more to Sagittarius, usually what I'm noticing is that it just feels like a relief. Like after some intense work, it could be on something internal, external, it doesn't matter, it will be personal. But after that, it feels like there's some kind of release. Like, okay, I did some serious job. Now it's time for me just to relax or to have more fun or to shift to something different. Or another very positive manifestation is that after we have done this deep Scorpio work, When the energy moves to Sagittarius, we can also see or do something more concrete externally. So during the Scorpio season, it's a great time to dig deeper and find deeper resources internally, on a psychological level, emotional level, spiritual level, you name it. Because that's one of the greatest benefits of Scorpio, that it really brings you this depth and deeper resources. And yes, this process may not be simple, but it's also very important. And when the energies move to Sagittarius, we may also experience or express this in the outside world, do something concrete, or materialize some kind of goal through action. So Sagittarius is about doing something. It's about taking action towards our goals and dreams. So again, Mercury is moving to Sagittarius on the 11th, the Sun on the 22nd, and Mars on the 24th. And one more interesting fact here. Pay attention. What happens when a planet moves to Sagittarius right now? What happens is that this planet will also be welcomed by Saturn, because Saturn is currently on the first degree of Pisces. And it means that as soon as those three planets move to Sagittarius, the first thing that will happen is that they will have a square with Saturn. And this is what it is. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but again, we need to be prepared. So even though we may feel this wave of optimism to do something, to be more enthusiastic, to be more externally oriented, Saturn is also bringing us a reminder. And it may feel or sound like, be mindful, be wise, don't exaggerate things, don't try to overcompensate, but instead try to stay in touch with reality, stay grounded, keep your focus on the actual results that you are pursuing, not only on visions, dreams, and frankly, sometimes fantasies, but also like, how does this match reality and our current environment and situation? So this can, again, keep us down to earth, and it can remind us of, I would say, even some kind of potential challenges that we should not neglect or underestimate. So as soon as those planets move to Sagittarius, at first, we might be a little hesitant. It may feel like, okay, energies are shifting, but are they really? Should I really trust this or maybe not? And again, that's a very normal process. So don't be stressed. Don't think that it will be the same forever. No, it will be something temporary, but at the same time also important. So just try not to rush through things. Again, we have this expression, measure twice, cut once. So prepare more, take more steps in advance, consider things, and when you are sure, then make the right steps. And again, if you think about it, that's not a bad thing. This is actually helping us to really improve our efficiency. So instead of just wasting time, energy, and effort on, well, I will try this. No, I will try that. No, let's go with the other thing. We are not rushing through things. We are considering, we are planning in advance, and we take action when we are really sure of what we are going after and what is the meaning and the point. And I think that eventually this can save us a lot of time, a lot of effort, and can even help us to get faster to where we want. There is an interesting concept which, in my opinion, resonates so much with Saturn. So I want to share it very quickly with you. And here is how it sounds. In order to get your maximum efficiency or productivity or highest results, it doesn't mean that short term you should also do that. The point is that sometimes you may need to choose another approach in the middle of the process. perhaps not to rush everything or not to go for the maximum result temporarily and short term. Maybe sometimes short term, we need to stop. We need to be less efficient for a while in the name of some kind of long-term idea or goal. That, my friends, is completely Saturn thing. And yes, ironically, that's exactly what can help us to be more efficient long-term if we are making the smart moves. So just keep this concept in your mind that short-term maximum efficiency doesn't necessarily guarantee the long-term maximum efficiency. And sometimes those could be disproportional. Sometimes short-term, you may need to face with some kind of losses. You may need to pause. You may need to slow down or cut something, because long-term, it will allow you to have more, achieve more, be more. I think that's exactly the energy that we are going to experience right now during November. Again, both at the beginning when Saturn is stationary until the 11th of November, but also after that, when Mercury, the Sun, and Mars move to Sagittarius one after another and have the square with Saturn, we will be reminded about the same principle. And again, long-term, this is a very good thing. So, and speaking of long-term, this is also so much connected to Sagittarius. Sagittarius is also not a sprinter. Sagittarius is a marathon runner. Or in other words, Sagittarius is an energy that is focused on long-term results. So if you think about it, this may work really well for us, especially if we are prepared for this. So again, to summarize it, don't be afraid to slow things down or to go to pause something or not to pursue the temporary maximum results. If you know that by cutting things down or slowing something down right now, long-term, you will have better chances. So think about the long-term perspective and your priorities long-term. Okay, another important event, we have also a new moon. The next new moon is on the 13th of November. This is also a pivotal point during this month. I want to remind you that a few days before the new moon, so especially 11th, the 12th, the 13th, those days are not beneficial for starting something major, something important. And this is the time when the moon is balsamic. This is the end of the lunar cycle. And this is the time when you can reassess, you may let go of something from the past and focus on more personal things or go more internal, in other words. When the moon is balsamic, so specifically those 3 days, 11th, the 12th, and the 13th of November, this is the time when we are not very productive, when the energy can be lower, and even external results may not be so easy to achieve or notice. So instead of going against this, I would recommend you to try to plan things according to this and consider it. Those 3 days, not about high productivity. They are just better for some kind of internal processes and also finishing something from the past month, completing and letting go. And after the 13th, especially from the 14th and after that, we will be in the new lunar cycle. So it would be great if you want to start something, if you want to focus on something new, if you want to direct your energy in a new way. This new moon will be quite intense. So we will have, I will open my software here. We will have Mars right next to the new moon. Actually, Mars will be burned by the sun and the new moon in Scorpio. Mars is one of the rulers of Scorpio, so really, really high intensity. And at the same time, Uranus is in opposition with the new moon. So what that means is that we may feel the urge also to change things radically fast in a dramatic way. Be mindful. Yes, sometimes that's exactly what we need. Other times we might be rushing things too much. Also, keep in mind that this combination, Mars and Uranus in opposition, together with the new moon, also in Scorpio, is a combination that brings higher risks for traumas or even injuries, or it could be technical issues. So just be mindful with that. And in terms of new projects, new ideas, yes, sometimes, this is an energy that can bring breakthroughs, that can bring something radically shifting and us moving into a new level. But sometimes we might be too impulsive and too restless. Overall, the tension for the nervous system is much higher during such times. So consider this, try to also give yourself a way to use this energy. So some kind of physical practices, something that balances the energy, something that balances the exchange of resources is highly recommended, because the opposition triggers Scorpio and Taurus. Obviously, if you have planets in those signs, you will feel this more. Or the other group of people are the ones who have an aspect between Mars and Uranus in their chart. Again, I'm one of those, so we'll see. Usually it's pretty interesting, especially if you have a challenging aspect. So especially if you have opposition, square, or conjunction between Mars and Uranus, please be more careful. Remember that you are generally more predisposed to impulsive decisions, sometimes maybe even reckless actions, and also, yes, brave actions. But keep things under, well, control maybe is not the right word, but try to use this in a way that would benefit you. And instead of, destroying something, because frankly, sometimes we can do this with such energy. So instead of going for this, try to go after something new. This is one of the topics that I will talk to you about soon, the difference between evolution and a revolution. Maybe we can do this around the time of the new moon. I will let you know, but that resonates so well. Revolution and evolution, exactly. Uranus and with Mars and the solar eclipse, this will be one of the major topics. And my recommendation is go for evolution rather than revolution, because revolution always includes some kind of destruction, and also revolution has an end. It's like you get there and the process is done. Evolution is a never-ending process, and it brings the real growth. But again, more on that soon. I have interesting thoughts to share with you on that. So intense new moon on the 13th with Uranus, with Mars, Scorpio, Taurus. So things related to resources, finances, investments, both personally but also socially, can be major for all of us. The other lunation is on the, one more thing about the new moon. I also want to add that Neptune will be supporting this new moon. So Neptune is actually going to be our friend this month, except for the opposition with Venus at the beginning of November, which frankly is not that scary. We don't have any other problems with Neptune. And on top of that, actually, Neptune is supporting the other planets. Neptune is supporting the new moon, trining the new moon. The Sun and Mars are going to have the trines with Neptune one after another. So that's actually a good thing. It may soften the atmosphere. It may help us to be more intuitive. It may help us to be more creative, more compassionate, and overall to go even deeper. So imagine this combination. We have a new moon in Scorpio with Mars there, and Neptune from Pisces is trining the new moon. So how much depth can this bring us? I think it can be amazing for people who are interested in this, like to find deeper resources or deeper truth or deeper motivation, this combination is actually fantastic. So Neptune is a great supporter during the month. And the other thing is we also have a full moon on the 27th. There is some kind of tension that we will feel, yes, mostly coming from Saturn, because the full moon is in the first few degrees. It's on the 5th degree in Gemini and Sagittarius. And again, Saturn from Pisces will remind us about its existence and the importance of everything that we talked about at the beginning. So being mindful, being cautious, thinking about long-term results rather than short-term, and sometimes the need to cut or even to, I would say, give up on something temporarily with the idea that long-term it will give you or bring you more benefits. So this full moon is definitely affected by Saturn. And it's helping us also to be more mindful of how we use our resources and how we set our goals. This can bring changes on a more, I would say, rational level in terms of our ideas, visions, motivation, how we communicate, how we connect to other people. And yeah, the other thing is that also Pluto will help this full moon. So Pluto is trining the full moon. I think that we are kind of lucky during this month because Neptune is supporting the new moon and Pluto is supporting the full moon. So this is allowing us to make more significant transformations, also to have access to a more powerful energy, which I would say is more transpersonal. And that's not about some kind of cool stuff or, you know, something crazy or anything like that. It's more about being able to do something that has a bigger impact on your own life, but potentially also for other people, doing something more significant or even achieving something with social importance. So that's a good thing. And another interesting fact, so very close to the full moon, actually from the 25th of November, we are entering the Mercury retrograde shadow zone. Yes, this time of the year is coming again. Mercury will turn retrograde during December, around the middle, around the 13th of December. So no, it's not Mercury retrograde yet. You can relax. However, we may start preparing for this from the 25th of November because Mercury is entering this shadow zone. Very quickly, what is the shadow zone of Mercury? The shadow zone is the area of the zodiac that Mercury is passing during the retrograde phase. During this sector of the zodiac, Mercury will pass 3 times. This is the first time when Mercury is passing direct. Then when it turns retrograde, it will go back and then direct again for the 3rd time. So on the 25th of December, we are entering this sector, this time of the Mercury shadow zone. What this means is that you may start observing how things develop around you. What is important? What are the focuses? Are there any potential problems that may show up later? So kind of like to prepare for this in advance. Or in other words, if you are working on something important after the 25th of November until the 13th of December, be aware that you may need either to fix something or to go back or to change it or to let it go after Mercury turns retrograde, which would be again December. This does not mean that you should not do things, that you should postpone. This is not Mercury retrograde yet. So you can still initiate things, you can still, sign contracts, do important negotiations and so on. But your plans might go through some kind of shift later on. Not guaranteed for everything, for everyone, but sometimes it happens. So even if it's not about concrete events and things, it's important for the whole process that you are going through. So just observe, just pay attention. After the 25th, the people you communicate with, the main topics, the main priorities, and observe how after that, after the 13th of December, you may need to go back to those conversations or plans or ideas or people, which is not necessarily a bad thing. We may need this, we can make important changes, we eventually can have better results. But the more prepared we are for this, of course, the better. And one more thing I want to add. This is about the conjunction between Venus and the South Node towards the end of the month. The exact conjunction is on the 29th of November, but of course we may feel the energy a few days before and after that. Why is this conjunction so important? First of all, lunar nodes are always something that we look for, we are paying attention because they are showing us from where and to where we are going. What are the main topics, priorities for us overall? And Venus is the ruler of the South Node, the sign Libra. So the ruler getting closer and then in conjunction with the South Node is activating the topic so much. And we may need to process something from the past. We may need to let go of something. And this is a great time to resolve something, especially in relationships, in communication, in connections to close people around us. So be prepared for that. This is a good thing. And you may also, I think that could be actually the most important focus, to release some kind of emotions that you no longer need. Negative emotions, something that is keeping you stuck, that is holding you back, that is not letting you to be happy or to fall in love or to improve your relationship, or this will be a fantastic time to let it go. Especially also because we have a full moon on the 27th. So those last few days of November, I would say from the 23rd until the 28th of November, are amazing for releasing something you no longer need, separating from unhealthy patterns, unhealthy relationships, the burden of the past, and again, especially things that are emotionally keeping you stuck. So that's the general picture. For November, as you can see, the month is changing so much, like very slow first, I would say half. So until the new moon, the month is really slow. The first week is the slowest, then things start to shift a little bit, but the more significant change is after the new moon, so after the 14th of November. Then the closer we get towards the end of the month, the more the masculine energy is increasing. As we said, we will have more Sagittarius energy. So focus on goals, on expansion, on growth, and actually finally getting out of the energies of the eclipses. So by finishing the lunar cycle of the solar eclipse, again, I'm reminding you, this is happening on the 13th of November. After that, we are moving into the new cycle, a new phase, and I would say completely new level of energy. So if you have any questions, feel free to share them, to ask. You are also more than welcome to comment after the videos have ended. I will check your comments. I will read all of them. I'm excited. I think the month is intense, potentially very beneficial for deep work, for important things, and for big transformations. So it was my pleasure to do this. It was a bit of an experiment looking here and there, but I think it will get better with time. I will find my inner center. So it will be, yeah, it will be interesting. And in this way, we are all being together. Mm-hmm. If Saturn is moving through 7th house, well, this is about relationships. So this is the main area that could be affected. You need to, you need to explore what is important for you in terms of your relationships. And I would say you can also think about some potential inner limitations. If you feel like somehow you are not letting yourself to experience complete freedom, or there are some kind of inner barriers, you might become more aware of that. So you can also work on that, release it. I'm a Libra sun, and I can already feel the shifts in my relationships. Yeah, for Libra, this was an intense period. The eclipse in Libra, which was squared by Pluto, and we are still feeling this, so it's absolutely normal. My guess is that, especially for Libra people, you guys will feel very intensely the period until the 13th of November. So until the next new moon. Because again, we are still affected by this. We are still in the midst of the lunar cycle that started with the last solar eclipse. So yeah, absolutely. But with Venus also moving to your sign, I think that better times are coming, and you will feel, I would say, some kind of joy from life. Sixth house Saturn transit and possible pregnancy. That's not really connected. So Saturn in fifth house might be more connected, but again, Saturn in fifth house is not like a contraception method. So we should not think that Saturn in fifth house does not allow a pregnancy or babies or so on. Saturn in sixth house is more about being responsible for your own health, I would say. Yeah, which is something major also. So it's not a problem for sure. But you need to, pay attention to your health, and it would depend, of course, on your chart, your sixth house, the status of Saturn, and all of that. Sag, ascendant Saturn in Pisces in fourth. For years have been looking for a new home, many obstacles. And it keeps going into the next month and next year. Right now, with Saturn being stationary, this is not a beneficial time for resolving things related to properties. So I wouldn't recommend you to go for this during the first half of the month. Potentially after that, it would definitely be better than during the first half. But if Saturn is in Pisces in your fourth house, if you mean the transiting, or if you mean the natal, then this is also a Saturn return. So that's usually a pivotal point as well. Yeah, revolution and evolution. We will do this talk, I promise you. Yeah, it's now is the time with Uranus and Mars. Yeah, I mean, very soon we'll do it. Yeah. Thank you, Marie. Mm-hmm. Uranus conjunct Mercury in third. I would say that's pretty interesting. Some kind of new ideas. You need to focus on some kind of new ideas. Like to open up your mind more to some kind of things that you haven't done before. With Uranus, guys, the most important is to allow ourselves to do things for the first time. Things that we haven't tried, things that we haven't experienced before. So if Uranus is doing something major in your chart, especially with Uranus, you just need to learn more astrology. I think that this will be the best thing for you. And probably you will also be able to master it in a new way. Okay, guys, so thank you so much. On Facebook, we have also the new moon on the natal Uranus in 6th house. Interesting. You also need to do something different, but I would say something in your daily routines. Try to change, also try to change something in your nutrition. Yeah, that's one of the good things you can do. Try to change something, either add something or let go of something, or change something in the habits, experiment, or find a specialist. This could be also very transformational. So thank you so much, guys. It was a real pleasure to be with you here and there. Elaine, how can you get a reading with me? You can go to AstroladaOfficial, and you can find me there. My name is Marina Stoichkova. If you have any questions, you can contact me there from the sign-up form, and we will do whatever you need at the moment. Thank you so much. Let me know if you like those formats, if you need something else, if you want something. And yeah, I would love to see you more. Have a wonderful day. Happy November and enjoy.